Hey, yo, internet.
Oh, beach.
Oh, yo. I'm Greg.
I'm Brian.
We're D-Minus Chats. We are doing an album review. But what did you listen to today?
James Taylor.
What?
Of course, man. The album New Moon Shine. Really cool album. Great songs on it, and the great songs are really great. I grew up listening to this album. My mom had it on all the time. Songs like Copper Line, and my favorite James Taylor song ever, Frozen Man, is on it.
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Really excellent songs. Down the Hole's really good, not the Alice in Chains song.
The Alice in Chains song?
No.
Oh.
Now, not every track is a winner, but really, I hold a soft spot for it because I grew up with the whole album. So,
Sure.
James Taylor, New Moon Shine. And you?
I listened to Wendy and Carl.
I feel like every time we do this, Greg, you just come out with fucking...
They're the album's called Drawing of Sound. It's a really cool dream pop.
Oh, Dream Pop is cool.
Yeah, it's a dream pop.
Let's talk about
dream
that.
pop / drone ambient.
Of course.
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding.
Wendy and Carl. Wendy and Carl they're a dream pop ambient act that's signed to one of my favorite record labels, Cranky Records, who some of the bands some bands on the record label include Godspeed You Black Emperor, as well as Tequila Petty Bourgeoisie, and some other really fantastic ambient rock acts. Fantastic album, Drawing of Sound, Wendy and Carl. So, we're doing Godflesh right now. We're doing A World Lit Only by Fire. Who's Godflesh?
Oh, don't ask me that. You introduced them to me.
I did, yes.
So, who's Godflesh?
Godflesh is a really important industrial metal. If Godflesh didn't exist, industrial metal would not be what it is today. If it is anything, is it anything today?
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. But anyway, a very important industrial metal act fronted by Justin Broderick, who played guitar on the most important grindcore record of all time, Napalm Death's Scum. And he moved on from that to do several projects, including Final, which is a dark ambient electronic outfit. He went on to do Godflesh, which is the industrial metal act. He continued on to do Yezu, one of the creators of post-metal entirely. He's done Techno-Manimal and God and Ice and so many acts. He is a fantastic exemplar of the diversity that exists within experimental music. And he did Godflesh, which is perhaps his most famous of the aforementioned. And they have put out important records in the industrial metal genre, namely Street Cleaner, his first full length. And he hasn't released any material under the name Godflesh since 2001 when he put out Hymns. And he stopped that to do Yezu, which is fantastic, but no Godflesh. No Godflesh, not until A World Lit Only by Fire this year, which is the triumphant return. He has done many things that are similar in the Godflesh vein, but many things that are different. What did you think of it?
You know, being that I know what the music entails, it's very harsh. It's very abrasive, very metallic. It's like listening to machines fornicate, you know? And it's very abrasive, and the vocals are very abrasive. Everything is just loud and in your face and angry and just rough on the ears. I really appreciate that. The album opens with New Dark Ages. Really cool. I heard the bass tone and I was like, shit, excellent. And then the rest of the album happened. No, it's okay.
No, it's not okay.
It's not really okay.
What's not okay about the rest of the album?
A few standout tracks for me, like Curse Us All or Life Giver, Life Taker, which we'll talk about in a second.
Sure.
But a lot of that sound, which makes sense for Godflesh. I wouldn't like it if the sounds changed from track to track. It's not supposed to.
Sure, yeah.
I just realized, I learned something about myself, that I can't listen to a full Godflesh album.
Okay. Well, this is actually probably if you're gonna go up to your neighbor and say, "Hey, I baked you a pie. Also, here's a Godflesh album." This is probably the album you're gonna take to that person more than any other Godflesh album.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Easy, because this is the riffiest Godflesh has ever been. Tracks on this album like Shut Me Down. There's riffs. There's real riffs. It's more than just like two notes, which isn't bad. It's just how Godflesh has traditionally done things. And this has a very relatable guitar tone. I don't know for a fact, but it sounds to me like Justin Broderick is using 8-string guitars, which is a new thing. It's new since Gents happened that everyone started using 8-string guitars, And this is probably the most relatable you're going to get to modern metal fans if you're going to introduce them to Godflesh or traditional industrial metal. Now, but why don't you?
Here's the thing: if you're looking for songs, I'm being totally serious.
Sure, yeah.
Because this has some legitimacy.
Yeah.
If you're looking for songs with structure and melody, don't listen to Godflesh.
I totally agree.
I
can't even front.
You'll hear the cool riffs. They're there. They're definitely there.
There are riffs.
But if you're new into this whole scene, you're probably not going to stay in this scene.
No. I made a mistake of listening to Godflesh too early once, and it made me discount them for years. It was when I was younger, and when I was first getting into actually metal music in general. I first picked up a copy of With Teeth by Nine Inch Nails. Loved the fuck out of it.
Sure.
Remains my favorite Nine Inch Nails record. And I was like, hey, Godflesh, they're also industrial something. And I bought a copy of their EP Merciless, and I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever heard in all of my 11 years of existing. Eesh. But I learned that they're extremely important and really substantial quality industrial metal. And what I take away from the album, I don't know about you, but what I take away from the album is that they are on top of their atonal industrial game. They got it. They got the everything, the lack of melody, the would-be formlessness if it wasn't for the fucking drum machine. They have the mechanic, cold, calculated riffs that they had, except it's just riffier. It's just more accessible. And that's what I loved about Godflesh. They just made it a little bit more guitar focused.
One can call it an industrial revolution.
One could call it that. One could call it.
Yo, what's this, man?
Dude, you want one of these things?
Sure, dude.
Get it for your birthday.
Thanks.
One could call it a good industrial record. It's a pretty cool it's pretty good.
Godflesh.
Godflesh.
If you don't want to hear songs, let me rephrase that. If you want to hear an album that sucks. I'm kidding. It's okay, Greg.
It's not doesn't suck though.
It doesn't suck. You're right.
Fuck off. It's awesome. If you like old school industrial, you'll like this. I mean,
yeah, of course. I know. But here's the cool thing. I will say this: if you want to shake it up a little bit and listen to something that you would never normally hear, or maybe you've heard the term industrial metal or industrial before, this is where you should start.
Definitely.
Don't start at Nine Inch Nails, because then you're going to get to this and hate it.
That's true. Or you could build your way up. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, probably.
I mean, that's what I would do. I'd start with Nine Inch Nails and Ministry, and continue and graduate to something like Godflesh, which is a lot more abrasive than pop acts like Nine Inch Nails. But sure. I mean, yeah, I took away a lot of the tracks from it. I thought New Dark Ages was fantastic. Towers of Emptiness, I thought was amazing.
I thought that one was alright.
You were falling asleep when that song was playing.
I'm so sorry about that.
Towers of Emptiness played, and I was wide-eyed staring at the floor. I was just so blown away by that fucking song. That is that is a giant, guitar-y, riffy, industrially noisy, drony, doomy industrial metal song. It was just so expansive and so huge. The one thing I really thought to compare it to was Burning Witch, And that jittered my critters because I'm a big Burning Witch fan, and man, hearing that song was it blew me the fuck away. It was just so huge, and it continued into Forgive Our Fathers, which is also an awesome closer that continued along that same path of this huge, very sparse soundscape that from the track before. Most of the other songs are awesome too. I mean, like they do change it up. I mean, they have a lot track to track. They change it up. Not through the songs.
Yes.
But.
Yeah, you're right. Life Giver, Life Taker is a standout for me because it's very drony. I think that was the biggest soundscape that I took away from it personally.
Sure. I mean, it also is a big soundscape, but it does have a lot. One thing that I would argue is it has a lot more structure.
Oh yes.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like just because it has the hi-hats.
Yeah.
Hi-hats and the yes.
Just to clarify, I don't dislike it. I actually do like it quite a bit.
Oh, all right.
I just don't think I could sit through it.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge for people who aren't involved in the industrial mindset, I will say. And I mean, if you are, it's a good listen. It's definitely a good listen, dog. I highly recommend it to Godflesh fans. Who would you recommend it to?
I want to recommend it to people who are new to industrial.
Okay.
Yes.
I would recommend it to, honestly, people who are a fan of big guitar sounds, fans of doom metal. If you're a fan of funeral doom metal, this won't be anything that is too tough for you. If you're a fan of industrial metal that isn't Nine Inch Nails or Ministry, then this will be a cool record. And if you just like, if you're a fan of any of the projects that Justin Broderick does, I mean, I can see no reason why you wouldn't think this album is awesome. I would definitely recommend it to those people.
Cool. Well, we're D-Minus Chats.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook.
Bye!
Subscribe.